Welcome, everybody, to Enlightened Masculinity Podcast. I'm your host, Yogi Chris, PhD, founder of Ninth Limb Yoga, and one of two captains of IMC Nation, the highest rank under the founder, streaming to you here from IMC Base 1 in Campbell, California, next to San Jose, basically San Jose, and where I live with AZD, the founder of IMC Nation, and I run this movement for the most part. I'm one of the main, if not the main mover of it, AZD running it, and I'm the guy that moves things around. So Enlightened Masculinity, this is episode like 350 something, and long evolution and to be continued. Joe Rogan's on like episode 2000 something or whatever. So just imagine, sometimes I do 1, 2, or 3 of these episodes a week, but let's say I do 75 to 100 a year. Let's say I do 100 a year, then and that's just what gets posted. I do other private streams that don't get posted publicly, but this gets posted publicly. So at 100 a year, 10 years from now, what kind of guests will we be having? What kind of conversations will it be? What's the quality of the recordings? What's the topics? What's the, you know what I'm saying? Episode 1500, it's going to be great. So we just keep going and documenting this evolution here. Right now, this episode is called Daily Habits for Healing, which has a lot to do with the recent training, which ended, called Return of the Beast. And, I've done videos elsewhere about how these advanced trainings evolve. They kind of spiral through a dozen or so different kinds of characters, male characters or spiritual characters that are very attractive, seductive, all operating with this framework of understanding psychology, female psychology, seduction, communication, aesthetics, but through a different character, because you could see all of that through a king, but you could also see it through a monk. You could see it through a demon. You could also see it through some kind of animal beast if you personified it somehow. You could see it in a lot of different kind of characters, seduction and communication skills, wisdom. But the character, if you saw a movie and someone was portraying that character in a way that was aesthetic, they could all be that, but they would all be different. Obviously, it wouldn't be the same character, just with a different suit on. It would be something different about the character. So we examine that, and through the lens, we examine relationships, being that relationships is like the weak point of humanity. For example, if we were doing mixed martial arts and we learned punching and kicking and wrestling and what have you, but nobody learned jujitsu and submissions, how to submit someone on the ground. But then someone came along that knew submissions, they would just beat everybody because, unless you knock me out with your punch or kick, if I can take you down, if I can get in on you, the jiu-jitsu guy would have a tough time with the wrestler. He wouldn't be able to take him down. But the wrestler would take the jiu-jitsu guy down, and then the jiu-jitsu guy would start working jiu-jitsu. The wrestler isn't familiar with that on the ground, submissions and things like that. So the jiu-jitsu guy wins more often than not because that is the antidote or the antivirus or the virus, however you want to think of it, to the other systems of fighting. And I'm saying all that because, what was I saying right before that? IMC Nation, 350 of these episodes, the evolution, documenting the evolution, Return of the Beast. Oh yeah, cycling through these characters. So, man, there was a reason why we were going through that. But anyway, so cycling through these characters, spiraling through them. Why I say spiral? Because it's not just a circle. We don't just return to the same character. We return to it with all of the evolution of going through the other characters. There's an old saying in evolution, it's one direction. There is no such thing as de-evolution. I get what someone's trying to say with that, like getting more primitive, but it actually doesn't happen. Evolution only goes in one direction. Entropy goes in one direction. And time, you could say. Maybe there's reverse time, but, explain how that works to me. We could fantasize about it, and I think it exists somewhere, but that's beyond our understanding. Our understanding now is one direction. And so there's no way in my PhDs in environmental sciences. So there's actually no way for an ecosystem to return to the way it was before you destroy it, before you cut it down or till it or level it or whatever you do to it. And then you try to put it back the way it was. It'll never be the way it was because time has moved forward. It can't be the same way it is. You can't step in the same river twice because it keeps flowing. So we can't return to the same character exactly how we were because we went through a bunch of evolution since the last time we were here. So it's a spiral forward in time. It's not just a circling back. Circle back starts where it ends where it starts. Spiral keeps going forward. It's like a coil. So that's what we're doing. We just finished this Return of the Beast training, and that's what I'm talking to you today about this episode. Is we went through this character, the Beast. It's an upgrade. The Beast meaning not just an animal beast. The animal beast is representing survival. That beast survives. That species survives. Maybe that individual dies, but the species survives because it's damn competitive against all the other species that would be wanting its niche. One animal wants all the slugs. The other animal is better at eating all the slugs. There's no slugs for the other animal goes extinct. The better one wins, and then the slug appears that can outwit or we don't give a slug too much credit, but somehow can hide or somehow survive against that slug eater. Then that species of slug survives. The species that can't figure it out dies. So it's very competitive. Over time, the species that are still living are the best at surviving. So we might think of the sloth as super slow, or I don't know what we think about. The chicken is super stupid, but it's surviving. It's still living. It outlived all the dodo bird. And the dodo bird wasn't even stupid, by the way. The dodo bird had just never, ever seen a mammal in all its evolution because it grew up on Mauritius, which is an island off Africa, and there were no mammals there. Mammals went extinct or they were never there because it was just a little lone island. There were birds, there were snakes, there were no mammals. So when the settlers came or whatever, they brought dogs and rats. And the dodo bird had never seen a dog or rat. Didn't even know. So it had no concept of how to guard its eggs. The eggs were the size that other animals couldn't get in and they weren't preying on it. And so they didn't even have, and then the settlers shot all the dodo birds. They'd obviously never seen a human or a gun. You don't even know. You hear that crack and it's like whatever. And they would just shoot them for their gizzards, because it was a prize. And they went extinct. There's just a few of them on this little island. And so it's not that they were dumb. They just never seen that. It's like kickboxing. They'd never seen jujitsu. So, in the end, the chicken is smarter than the fucking dodo bird. In a way, I mean, arguably that existence as a farm animal, but, as long as they serve humanity, we will always protect them from extinction. But then we might make them our slaves. Who knows what we do with them? They already are slaves, but supposedly in some kind of humane treatment back and forth, you could probably even have some sort of relationship with a chicken and a pig and whatever. And they would evolve, and you would evolve by interacting with them, just like an alien would evolve by interacting with us. And some aliens might come and farm us, and some might just come and be our friend. Who knows? So the evolution, we go through the beast, and the beast represents survival. So we don't typically pick power animals that are chickens and slugs. We pick tigers and elephants and snakes and mythical creatures. Powerful, but they represent survival. And survival in the human realm is not money. Money is a proxy for it, just like money is a proxy for value. But again, gold isn't necessarily survival, because if you have no band of warriors to protect your gold, then your gold just became a liability. It became a very anti-survival thing because you're going to get killed for all that gold. So it represents something that might be considered survival, but survival is something different. Hold on a second.
What's that? It's all good. Yeah.
Okay, so survival in the human world isn't going to be money. It's not going to be your muscles. I think Elon Musk survives a lot better than guys that have muscles, but he also has a lot of money. I would say that there may be certain individuals free of public opinion, free of scrutiny, free to, let's say, okay, so Elon Musk, he puffs a joint on Joe Rogan. He doesn't even inhale. It's a terrible hit, but he puts a joint to his mouth and like there's whatever, smoke comes out of his mouth. But he doesn't inhale it. So SpaceX has federal contracts. He has to get random drug tested for a year. And then his whole company everybody has to get random drug tested for a year. Everybody has to go through that because he isn't free to smoke a joint. So in some respects, a lot of individuals have more freedom than Elon Musk on that. Now, he takes it on the chin. He's not like complaining about it or whatever, but That's just an example. He's obviously surviving extremely well. But, and I don't know, what do I know about the guy? But all I know about is more people that are closer to home, and how people survive is ultimately going to be experienced internally, how they're surviving. That's why we would respect the monk or the philosopher or the warrior who could get by simply, doesn't need much, seems to be surviving very, very well. Or the man who's very well respected and other men align with, so that he may not have much money, but he has friends that have money if he really needed it. And so money is survival, but really the friendship is survival. Because if that man has all the money and I have all the friends, I'll go take his money. So the money wasn't survival. It was the manpower. But then not all men are equal. No men are equal. So some men, they're capable of producing much more. They lead much more men. They lead more resource. They lead more. And then, they lead stronger, better. So there's quality. There's a hierarchy here. Who are you associated with? That's why a girl's attracted to a guy with a tribe, because a guy with a tribe or a pack, even if it's 2 or 3 is better, 4 is even better. The more, the better, because that's a lot of survival that comes with that. It's a lot of backup that comes with her man. And then, of course, it's quality. So it's not just quantity. Give me 10 friends that are super loyal. You take 100 friends that are not loyal. So it's quality. But these things, that's why it's not so easy to measure. Everybody wants to be all easy with it and measure it with the dollars, because that's so tangible. Well, how many dollars do you have? How many dollars do you have? What's your net worth? What's your net worth? But it's actually not that. So you're just masturbating with numbers. It does help get attraction, but they'll soon find out that you don't have the other qualities of healthy emotions, leader of men, that men don't respect you and you don't have healthy emotions about life. Because survival is really experienced in those male alignments and your emotional content, your emotional condition, moment to moment, day to day. We might call it mood. We might call it attitude, mindset, your emotions. And if you get all bent out of shape about things, or if, girls can really devastate you, or if somebody's opinion can really devastate you, that's not emotionally there. And then if men don't respect, that's partly why men wouldn't respect you either, because you become too emotional. So the money is a proxy for those and other attraction switches, but those are the 2 main ones that it really reflects. Just like women, having other women around you reflects that you have success and healthy emotions and protector and all of those things. But, it could be an illusion. You could be paying for those women to be around you, and it's just giving an image, or you could be creating pictures that you post on social media that really those aren't your women. You're paying for women. And so you're duping a person's nervous system to thinking you're pre-selected, but come to find out when they get to know you that you actually aren't pre-selected. Men don't take you seriously, this and that. And that's the fraud of money also. We'd like to think that money measures a man's survival. It measures something for sure. The man who took pictures with models and posted on Instagram and fooled you obviously has some intelligence to make that work. There are high values there, but there's also, it's deceit. That's money. That's why. Now, we want money. Of course, money helps live, and, we want to live. So you can imagine a man with $1 million who's stingy versus a man with $1,000 who's generous. Now, generous, I'm not saying be stupid or foolish, but generous would get probably a lot more survival alignments than the rich man who's stingy. And so that man could have more survival. Okay, so survival. So the beast representing survival, the highest level of survival as a man. Yes, money is in that, but it's alignments, it's your ethics and values and discipline, self-discipline, and the respect from your brothers, how you conduct yourself, a level of survival, not a light switch on or off, but a dimmer switch that goes infinitely bright. How survival can you be? Maximal survival. That's the ideas of the beast. And we just finished the beast, and in the beast, we were doing a lot of biohacking. So in biohacking, that's what comes to the content of this episode is daily habits for healing. And it's been pretty amazing how just like there's junk food, there's junk light. And of course, there is junk food and junk water, and there's junk that we put into our system. We consume so much over time that there may be negative elements in what we eat or what we drink or what we see or what's around us in our screens or light bulbs or whatever. that are not contributing to our well-being. And over time, it accumulates because we actually accumulate a lot of screen time every day and a lot of screen time at night with the TVs and everything. So there's a lot of junk light, and we accumulate a lot of what's in the fish we eat that they accumulated that was in the oceans because we kept dumping. And it's like, well, the ocean's so big. Yeah, but we've been dumping for a long time. It accumulates. So certain things accumulate like mercury, whatever. And so it affects the system in so many complex ways. We got the hormones, we got the breathing and oxygen distribution, of course, tension. Like tension accumulates. I was watching a lady walk at the park, and I'm a yoga teacher, a yogi, been practicing for a while. And so I clearly see skeletons, and I see the stiffness. There's just no mobility in her upper spine. She walks so stiff. She's a thin Oriental woman, but it's like, man, I can just see the years of desk work in your spine. You've accumulated it. So bringing out the optimal survival of the beast, your beast, the beast representing survival in you. How do you survive? It's been amazing, researching these references that are given and that we mastermind around on the advanced trainings has been very healing. I'd be very interested to hear if anybody else has noticed any effects, because we got guys on Zoom that are also, we're part of that training. It just ended, and the next training starts in 2 days. In 2 days, we'll be in Los Angeles with AZD. We take a road trip from San Jose. Aaron Luna, who's doing residency here, he's in one of our bases. I'm streaming to you from base 1. At base 5, which is in Phoenix, is where Aaron Luna's from. So he came here to live and become an officer and really help lead that base and create more bases. And so he's here doing residency, and he's going to drive down with us, the 4 guys that live at base 1 with AZD, or 3 guys with AZD, whatever, 4 guys total, and base 2 leader Will Rios. Then on the way back, we drive back with resident training Rafael Hernandez, who first originally came from Bible of Arash TikTok about 1 year and 3 months ago. And he signed up for the program, and he eventually signed up for an advanced program. And then he's done like 6 or 7 of those. And he decided, I want to come and stay at base 1. So that guy knows something that you guys haven't figured out yet, but stick around and find out. So, and then also Zay, who is a base 3 resident, and he'll be coming for residency here at base 1, becoming an officer for base 3 in Los Angeles. So we're going to Los Angeles on Friday. There'll be 2 days of streams, a lot of behind the scenes recordings, audio recordings, and that is known as The Gathering. The Gathering is on early bird right now for I think $200 or something. It's on the website imcbase1.com. And does anybody have anything to say about the healing that's taken place as you've removed the junk from your food, from your lighting? That's why I'm wearing the blue blockers. From what you drink, and some remedies that maybe you've discovered in your biohacking to optimize your survival and be a better vessel for communication, relationships, and everything that you learned. Give it a second if anybody's got anything.
Yeah, I'll tap in, brother.
That's myself from base 5 leader, Phoenix.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, the advanced training was for me, it was a lot of confirmation of the details of the nutrition. I made a lifestyle change.
You know how much it is now if people want to buy it?
Oh man. 49.97, I believe.
$4,997. If you want to get the Return of the Beast training, it's $5,000 now. It was $350 when people joined. It was early bird $250 because I gave early birds. Mm-hmm. People fucked around. They're not going to find out now. But 50 or so men attended that advanced 2-week training, and Master myself was on. And so tell us, yes, what were you saying?
Yeah, man. Just there's a lot of value. The nutrition, I think, was like the almost the foundation or the core piece of it. But yeah, like a lot of just healing. Natural healing from especially we've been tapped in on this process, this living process that we acquired from AZD, and the constant almost beating or not even beating, but like training of your body and your mind and whatnot. There's a lot of room for healing, right? And so a lot of that was taking place. Just the simple remedies of getting daily sunlight, connecting to the earth. You know what I'm saying? Stepping barefoot on the ground. and then, you know, incorporating the changes to your diet, you know, removing all the toxins and so on and so forth. It's like, it's the type of conversation and you know, lifestyle that I embody. I enjoy, you know, so much. So, you know, I would say, man, it's just, you know, really reemphasizes the importance of this process and you know, all the details of you know, our nutrition, what we're putting into our body, not only into our body but into our minds. You know, the kind of lighting and stuff. Like, there's so many different details of like how you know, society or you know, this matrix, if you will, has kind of like been attacking this, right? That we just weren't aware of, and so bringing awareness to that, man, just it is beautiful, you know, because it's like it's so natural, it's so organic, and communication is easier, you know, smoother conversations. You know, there is just, man, it's just a different flow to life. So that's why I got to report in on that.
Yeah. I've been getting feedback about how calm I've been, and I don't necessarily notice it internally, but I keep getting noticed externally about it. And I think that has a lot to do with the certain kind of dairy products that I've been consuming and cow products, and definitely what I've been doing with the lighting and how that's changed my rest, which I think the rest is very, it's hard to measure how much that affects me. I can measure it with the sleep app, and that's been great. And, you know, so changes to the routines and how I treat light and how I treat the elements of my life has resulted in, you know, getting multiple feedback about how calm I've been and how nice or how interested. And I don't feel like I am being that way. I definitely feel more detached. I feel, because I feel like you were saying, this whole matrix that's been conspiring against our health and well-being and our mental health and well-being, so that we are more caught up in issues that keep us kind of on a hamster wheel and not living, surviving as the beast that would prioritize our own survival. But we get entangled in, like, for example, so much emotional impurities, or even the physical impurities that become kind of mental entanglements with people, and, you know, different emotional instabilities or whatever, agitations that, you know, is just a pollution of the body that, you know, I already knew that. And I've been practicing, like I said, I've been practicing being unplugged from just whatever diet I was raised on. I changed over 20 years ago when I became so extreme, 22 years ago when I became so disciplined and extreme in my wrestling diet. That was the beginning, where, you know, counting calories and proteins and whatever, doing that for years, and turning vegan for years, and raw meats and whatever for years, juicing, and you know, just been through, like, it doesn't make me a nutritionist, but through all that time researching and things. And so just like leveling up each time, changing my internal experience, my mental experience. And so in this recent era with the biohacking, really bringing it all home, I think the light and the nutrition, and I'm seeing it all more clearly. Like, I was just in the park and I was doing a communing with nature, which is a exact process. It's one of the more advanced processes. After you do a private moment, you learn communing with nature. People like to say they commune with nature. That really just means they go out in nature or whatever. But communing with nature is a journaling process that helps you develop your language and your power of observation. And, you know, so I'm noticing that the traffic sound, it's nearby the park, it's like this constant hum, like the hum of your refrigerator or your air conditioner unit. That's just like irritating. Eventually you tune it out, you numb to it. And when you turn it off, it's like, wow, and everything's so quiet. And then after everything's so quiet, you start hearing some of the subtleties, the people downstairs, or the, you know, the crack over there or whatever. And I wonder what nature would sound like without those traffic hums, because it's just constant forever. You can't turn it off. But what if you could just turn it off like a light? And it's like, boom, what would nature sound like without the traffic? And, you know, so what would socializing be without all this pollution in my body? I can't just turn it off, but I can cleanse it to some degree. And bringing balance internally is at least eliminating that part of the problem from the equation. It's solving that, you know, and sometimes it's hard to know if it's solved because there are other variables to the equation. So knowing to what extent that is the problem and to how much you can heal the overall problem with just that being the nutrition, I don't know. That's probably different for everybody. And so we learn the skills of socializing and, all these different cleansing. I think the biohacking really creates at the highest level, because biohacking is ongoing art and science. It's the artistic application of the science of the body and everything. And to deeper and deeper levels, as we become more aware, like there's a system in the body. It's its own separate system that washes the brain at night when you sleep in deep sleep, and it just washes the brain. It floods the brain and cleans it out. And if you don't get deep enough sleep, that system doesn't happen. Or if it does, it's not efficient because of the space or whatever. And so I'm sure move forward 20, 50, 100 years, we'll know more systems of the body and things like that, and what they all do, how they interact. And so just ongoing evolution of the science of how to optimize the body and how that plays a role in our social dynamics, relationships, how we talk to ourselves, how we live, our quality of life. It's huge. And how much, I don't know. These other things, light pollution, noise pollution, whatever. And then a balance, because you could avoid all that, go out in the wilderness and just, you'll be lacking certain nutrients, whatever. I don't know if you'll be able to fully survive with everything you get. And if you do, you'll spend all your time getting it. And that's going to be a tough life. And, there's benefits to being near people. But it's like you either avoid it all or you got to master it. Because if you don't master it, then you'll be taken advantage of by the system, whatever. But if you avoid it, then, that's a hard life. So I think if you're listening to this, if you're around me, then you're definitely going through it. You're looking to master life. And part of that equation, part of the difficulty, part of the obstacles to mastering life is definitely nutrition. Light pollution is huge. And of course, we have a daily process to help us tap in, which also helps us perceive the subtle changes in our bodies and our mental and social experience when we change things in our routine. Most people, they don't have a social experience really that they can discern. And so when I say, what's your social experience, they wouldn't even know what that is. Like, what's your day-to-day interactions with people look like? How is that? And how many of those are friends versus employees versus coworkers versus bosses versus, voluntary interactions versus like required interactions? And what's the flavor of those? How do those go? And what's your quality of your interaction with your parents and with your woman? And so those things, and how to measure how changes in lifestyle changes those experiences. And so we have a process already for tapping into that. So when we come across biohacking, we assimilate it in a way that's really enhancing the social experience, that, we're actually getting better at social experience. And most people, 99.9% of people, are getting worse in their social experience. And that's just amazing to see. It's like we're all cheetahs, and we in IMC Nation are getting faster and faster and faster, and everybody else is getting slower. And it's just like everywhere, every cheetah is getting slower, and we keep getting faster. Pretty soon, we're just going to be a different species. I think we already are. Although it's possible for people to convert, they can become a slow cheetah, becoming a fat leopard, to joining us as, these mythological cheetahs that jump dimensions and run at the speed of light, and time slows down when we run, like the Speed Force. Yes, sir. Biohacking. Okay, everybody. Thank you for attending this episode of Enlightened Masculinity. And let's see if there's any comments. If you guys have any comments on Zoom, let me check the group chat here. No. People on this YouTube silent. Y'all watching. All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending Enlightened Masculinity. If you're watching the recording, like, share, review, leave a review, and follow. And, of course, with the links, sign up. If you're a guy, sign up for our... It's no longer called Alpha Academy. We need to change those links. It's called AZD'S Mastermind University. $97 a month. We meet every day. And there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of mastermind around situations that high-level men that have their shit together, their business together, their lives together. It takes a lot to live with other guys. And as adults, you guys got to have your shit together if you're going to last for any more than, a couple months tops. Like, so that's a evolution that most men will never achieve. And if you can succeed at that, then you'll do really well with women the rest of your life. relative to men of Earth, you'll do really well, because any woman lucky enough to get in a relationship with you is going to be with an evolved being that knows how to interrelate with other men, other evolved beings that share mutual respect. You will not be like any man she'll come across, but she doesn't have the internal barometer to measure that shit. And you'll get frustrated trying to convince her or whatever. So you actually have to master the art of attraction and how to attract her monkey eyes and her monkey butt and her fucking monkey genetics to fucking be attracted to you. And your wisdom will keep her, but you still got to attract her. And then you got to seduce her. You also got to make her comfortable in between. And transform your being naturally into being a natural vessel for attraction, comfort, and friendship. Let's call it attraction, friendship, and seduction. And, you know, being an IMC, that will happen naturally. So being an IMC base is one of the greatest blessings, what you would call a boon. In spiritual language, they call it a boon. Living in an IMC base is one of the greatest boons on planet Earth right now, if not the greatest boon on planet Earth. And you could test that. Let this be a time capsule, episode 250, whatever. We'll see you at episode 3000, and I'll tell you, I told you so. Os.